right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Smudcast 877. People want original movies, not derivative movies. Elio Discussion, and thank you, YouTuber, for actually writing a normal sentence, not capitalizing every single word, except for the Elio Discussion being a capital D. But that's okay. You know, it's in brackets. You can only do so much with the title. So we get it. We know what you're trying to say. This is from mjtanner. Came out 8 days ago. Has over 100,000 views. Good for her. And there's other videos on the topic, which this seems to be a very popular topic. Not necessarily Elio, but was it called K-pop Demon Hunters? So that seems to be very popular. And there's many ways why we could just analyze the title, the thumbnail, or the poster, and what that means to people. I don't know what Elio means. It sounds like a generic Pixar film about a kid doing a thing. So, pick any...
It's abducted by aliens.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Why not? Again, it could have been...
Although, granted, I'll give them that he has the eye patch because he got into a fight at school. So at least there's that one thing that I'll give them credit for, because otherwise it just looks stupid.
Did he lose the eye? Is that why he has an eye patch?
No, he just got punched, and it's some kind of medicinal thing, I think, where it's to help it heal better. But aside from that one thing, it's just the movie's just meh at best.
Okay. With K-pop, just the title alone, Elio means nothing to me. It could be some kid's name. It could be an acronym.
It is the kid's name.
Oh yeah, that's it. Wow.
It's literally it. That's it.
But with K-pop Demon Hunters, we know what K-pop is. We've got some visuals of a K-pop crew or whatever you want to call a K-pop music team.
Honestly, the best thing I can compare it to, and I already told you in private, where it's the best thing I can say that it compares to, it's it's a mix of Gem and the Holograms with Devil May Cry.
See, to me, that sounds awesome, because even with Gem and the Holograms, all it was normal people who then could use makeup or holographic images or whatever costume, and they became a girl band or whatever you want to call that. And that was the plot. With K-pop, you got obviously they're girls, and they're also a K-pop band, plus they're demon hunters. So there's already conflict in the title. We know what to expect. And then there's okay, so you have the Gem and the Hologram stuff, so they have their own music. It's probably going to be for kids, so they can't have too much romance or just enough romance. And then demon hunters are probably, I don't even know what the lore or the mythos of South Korean folklore is, but that's going to pull from something that they're using. So already you've got all this stuff happening just in the title alone that goes, hey, if I have a South Korean girlfriend or a wife or a husband or whatever, they would be happy to check it out, even if they're not into K-pop, because it's part of their culture. So boom, you got something for the parents, you got something for the kids, and you might have a good time with all the musical interludes. The animation looks pretty fine, doesn't scare me away. It doesn't cringe. And there's probably some really cringy moments with the music and the romance, but that's part of the charm. So already, just on principle, I'm sold on this being an idea. With Elio, I'm like, oh, it's a generic Disney thing, primary, secondary colors,
Disney Pixar thing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, what's the conflict? What's the reasoning? And if you say abducted by aliens, it's like, oh, does he want to get abducted by aliens? It's a wish of his. Does he pursue that?
Yes, actually, yeah.
Okay, so it happens.
It's pretty straightforward in terms of the base concept. Also, with K-pop Demon Hunters, I saw a clip where I really like that they did this, and it's pretty simple. But it's one of the things the demons do to fend off the demon hunters is literally just turn themselves into a boy band. I just love that kind of it's just simple. It's expected, but at the same time, it's they were so willing to do it.
Yeah.
Just to get back at them. I love it.
See, that sounds farcical, because one thing you want to do if you want to be secretive, you don't make anything public, especially a front, because then you're still driving attention to that. You're like, wait a second, who are these 5 individuals that came out of nowhere?
I like that they immediately go for the boy band angle, just to still get at the demon hunters without going too far. I love it.
It sounds like a good farcical kind of rom-com action musical pop culture thing. Like that, there's so much going on. Just an idea alone that you're going to attract someone, and provided it's not derivative, meaning provided it's not a knockoff of Gem or a knockoff of a K-pop or a knockoff of, I don't know, Mythos, and they reinvent it into the modern times, boom, you've already sold me in the pitch alone, not necessarily the execution. So yeah, there's and I'm not saying Elio can be bad, but just on principle, it's just like, this is nothing. You're not like, a kid wanting a thing is nothing new. You could want a chocolate cake, right? It's like, okay, but you can make that desire, that journey to get the ingredients, or to learn to be a baker, or to go through struggle in your life, to go to school to be a baker or whatever. Like, you can make that interesting, but still, with Coffee alone, the selling points of K-pop Demon Hunter sounds on principle way better.
Yeah, and I've heard people compare Elio to something like Lilo and Stitch, but at the same time, what made Lilo and Stitch work was the message and how it presented everything. Yeah, exactly. My first reaction to that was just no, because Lilo and Stitch made it work because of everything it did on its own, as well as the message, as well as the presentation, and everything else in between. So I'm just like, no, you're not gonna compare this to that, I swear.
All right. Well, we've got a 9-minute.
With Elio, that's just a romp in neon colors without really much to it. There's one decent joke in it, and gets a bit hearty at the end. That kind of works, but overall, it's a nothing movie.
Yep.
And the characters look like they're taken out of 2 Point Hospital crossed with Steven Universe. It's not. I don't think it deserves the cinema. This is something that should have just gone straight to, well, we don't have Blu-rays anymore, do we? Just straight to stream.
Meanwhile, K-pop Demon Hunters is a straight-to-streaming movie that a lot of people are saying deserve to be in theaters.
Interesting.
Damn it! It's upside down again.
Anyway, just to point out, Whisp, you do sound like you're blending a milkshake together there with your mic. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, yes, it is a milkshake. It's nothing dark or strange going on.
All right.
Really.
Yeah,
it's a milkshake.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'll go with that. Okay, 9 minutes. Here we go.
Let's go.
So Elio, it also has their worst opening box office numbers in the company's history. And what makes it even worse is that it had an extremely large budget of $300 million. Ooh. The movie had massive rewrites and reshoots, or I guess in this case, reanimation.
I would say to that, the animation quality is good, but misapplied. It's just it's wasted. It's wasted effort.
For $300 budget, that's amazing.
300.
$100 million.
$100 million budget.
Yeah, for it being as mediocre as it is, that is at the very least a bit too high.
I guess that's the neon lights. I guess they were more expensive than the normal colors.
I guess.
They bought too many Radeon chips and didn't use them all. They just sat them there. They were mining Bitcoin the entire time.
When you buy Radeon, then you wanted NVIDIA instead.
Yeah.
What was there a recent movie since the Red Panda thing about the 12-year-old girls having periods and gyrating?
That was a thing, yes.
Has there been any good movie, or was that the one that killed the studio?
Pixar
was slowly bleeding out.
That was at least the start of it.
Because I could imagine that there would be a lot of people that are fed up with this.
It is,
and just like this with Star Wars, just don't give it a chance anymore, because you don't want to take your kid to a studio's movie that is potentially horrible.
It is a good comparison because K-pop is a popular thing amongst many people, not just South Koreans. A lot of girls like boy bands. A lot of people like girl bands, whatever they're called, idol groups. So there's appeals across. As I was saying, there's many hooks for that kind of content. So, and if you're making it a rom-com, so it's going to be a parody of these kinds of groups. There's probably a lot of cringy moments for most people who watch it who are adults who go, ugh, this is so embarrassing. So that might be part of the appeal. And many Pixar films have that sort of childlike goofiness of comedy to them. So combine that with young adults or whatever the teenager group is for K-pop, you're gonna have a good time. And Gem and the holograms who are fighting demons, like that sounds like fun. So why not? And if the music is awesome, then even if everything else sucks, you're gonna have fun listening to music in a theater with special effects. So I'm already sold. Like already my concerns are like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll take my niece and nephew. We'll see it.
Yeah.
Get some popcorn or something. Actually, no, you can't. There's not even in theaters.
Yeah, it's streaming.
To the ballooned budget, among other factors that I'll get into, so I really don't see how this movie can break even, let alone make a profit. There's been a lot of disappointment online because of this movie flopping at the box office. Not necessarily because they're fans of the movie, but because Hollywood has become so reliant on remakes, reboots, and sequels, and the hope is that if original movies do well, the film industry will get the message that this is what audiences want. But honestly, just because Elio is an original property doesn't necessarily mean it's an original film. Honestly, the story is really derivative, and on top of the movie being kind of bland overall, it also was not marketed very well.
Okay, but what exactly is it derivative of? Is it the idea of a child growing up and figuring out he can't get his dream? Is it some sort of derivative of another Disney film? Is it a classic from like a folklore of certain country from hundreds of years ago? Like, what is the derivation that we're talking about? Does it just look like another Pixar film and you just can't put your name on it? It's like, it's kind of this thing that no one really likes. I mean, you can make a good derivative film of an awesome thing, and it could be mediocre and still watchable.
Result pretty much flying under most people's radar, but also just not really having much of a hook for general audiences. On the bright side for the films, the people who did see
those are really good numbers.
That's gotta be rigged, though.
91% for 1,000 verified ratings. That's amazing.
enjoy it, based on reviews, so that has to count for something. It does seem to have a niche appeal, but I don't think that's going to be enough to save it. I understand the frustration people have with Hollywood. I've made multiple videos about that very subject. A lot of these movies feel very profit-driven and corporate, rather than having heart or artistic integrity, but I do think that a movie has to be more than just not attached to another franchise, in order to warrant people actually spending their money and time on it, and I just don't think Elio is it. Recently, Pixar commented on the situation, saying that it's rough to make original films, but if they don't make original films, then they'll end up making Toy Story 27.
Okay, but that's not the issue. The issue is you're not making good films, and you could make Toy Story 27 if 26 and priors are very good. So it's not that derivative is bad. It's just it doesn't matter if it's new. If it sucks, it doesn't make a difference.
They're literally making Toy Story 5. They're gonna get there.
Oh yeah.
Well, they made Rocky 5, didn't they?
There was enough for Stallone to work with, I think.
Look, the gist of it is simply they only need to make quality.
Yeah,
It's all that matters.
and
There's no real fatigue with there is no fatigue with quality.
And if they just gave me the conflict with, like, what is Elio's conflict? Just tell me what appeals to me as a moviegoer or as a storyteller or a reader of books. Going, okay, a kid wants to get abducted by aliens. What's the appeal? Why should I care? Right? Was his mom an alien? Does he know where his dad came from? Is there a secret behind his heritage? Like, what's the mystery? Is there something suspicious about this kid? Does he have some connection to some mythos, to some, I don't know, prophecy, some book? So give me something. I want a theme. I want a gadget. I want a keepsake, something sentimental, emotional. Give me something.
No, it's just he's frustrated. He's living with his adoptive relative.
Ooh.
That's all. He doesn't really like his life. That's all.
Oh, jeez.
I do think I'm still experimenting and sticking to their guns when it comes to original movies, but I think it's a little bit ironic to say that because they are making Toy Story 5, and this is after many people, including myself, think that Toy Story 4 was already unnecessary. I'm just saying. I know people want to send a message to Hollywood, but I also think it's pretty obvious that people are looking for originality too. For example, Netflix recently released a movie called K-Pop Demon Hunters, a movie about a K-pop girl group who secretly kill demons. So the demons decide to fight fire with fire.
It's basically Sailor Moon with Gem and the holograms. That sounds funny.
And DMC.
Yeah, exactly.
Boy band, and the film is very well received. Countries, and the film's soundtrack also topped the charts. It's clearly managed to accord with audiences. It's funny, heartfelt, and has banging music, along with some pretty spectacular visuals. Honestly, I think this film should have been released in theaters instead of going directly to streaming, while Elio probably would
Well,
have...
just do both. I mean, what's the problem? Give people the opportunity to watch it downtown and watch it.
Oh, theaters first and then streaming.
Yeah, there's probably some marketing that's best for that to make the most money, but I mean, when you're with your family and you're too busy and you're on vacation or whatever, or you're downtown, it's like, yeah, the theater's right there. You don't have to go home and like pop your own popcorn and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, we're all together.
I don't know what part of the system decides what gets to see to the big screen and what doesn't. But there seems to be a giant discrepancy in the West over what does and doesn't. Because the crap we get from Hollywood, well, it's crap. And then you have these gems that maybe you see at a movie festival, and then they're really hard to get.
Oh, I see what you mean. So releasing on theaters would be a licensing deal with the publisher of the movie theater, so like Cineplex or whatever. So they would want their cut, whatever that is. And they probably have a history with Disney for decades ago. So it's...
I had major troubles getting the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever it is of Kubo and the Two Strings.
Oh.
And there's really weird language versions with it. Which you don't expect from a movie made in the past 10 years. With something that was made in the 80s or 90s maybe, but not that.
Plus, but I guess it can't be helped now, which is unfortunate for Pixar. Another issue that Elio had was the marketing. This film ended up flying under a lot of people's radar. It just seems like Pixar didn't put a lot of effort in promoting the film, along with it coming out not long after the Lilo and Stitch remake, which was huge for Disney, and is still going strong despite being in theaters for over a month. On top of that, as I mentioned earlier, Elio feels derivative of other films, Lilo and Stitch being one of them.
Well, wouldn't the money...
Yeah, but mind you, that the live-action version kneecaps the entire point of the message in one scene at the end.
Well,
while being derivative of the original.
Isn't the money... I would say the money involved to make live action with all that CGI would be more than making a full CGI, because you have to interpolate, you have to do all this timing, you have to get people in body rigs and all kinds of other things to line up sound and animation. So I'm assuming it cost a lot, the same way it cost to do all the other live action adaptations from Disney.
I would simply ask, how much of a live action movie is actually still real? Everything's in green screen.
Follows the titular Elio, who is obsessed with aliens. Since the loss of his parents, he's felt very isolated and alone in the world, so his dream is to get abducted by aliens, hoping that he'll be able to find a new world that he can call home. So he spends his days trying to lure aliens to abduct him, pretty much offering himself up on a silver platter. Meanwhile, the military does get a message from aliens. His aunt, who works at the military base, decides to ignore it, but he steals her clearance and manages to send a message to them. So he finally lives out his dream of getting abducted by aliens, only to realize he's in over his head when they think that he's the leader of Earth, and he ends up in a diplomatic situation where he has to deal with a hot...
Yeah, it's a cute kid's fairy tale, bad fairy tale, where the super intelligent aliens that have built Utopia can't figure out they're being fooled by a kid. Great.
Yeah. Well, I guess the hijinks is part of the comedy, but this sounds really silly.
It's just too stretched out. I don't know if you enjoyed this as a kid. I I remember the way I was as a kid, seeing such things, and this would have broken my suspension of disbelief. It's just too unlikely.
It's kind of like when you watch Monsters Inc. for the first time. Okay, so this is a whole business, and there's a company that scares kids at certain times of the day, and they have all these doors to their bedrooms and what have you. Like,
well, Monsters Inc. I could swallow as a kid because that's just so outrageously magical, so nonsensically magical. Yeah, that works. But this pretends to be a science fiction setting altogether.
The system involved and the technical and the detail to explain this whole process is up for display for the first 30 minutes, and then the plot gets kicked in. With this, it's like, I want to be abducted by aliens. I am, and then, they're all dumb, and they're trying to not conquer Earth or whatever. And I was like, okay, so now your plot is I have to save Earth.
No. The plot is they're all wusses being bullied by the one military tyrant that exists in the galaxy.
Oh.
And it turns out he's just a softie who worries about his son not being happy. Oh. And that solves the plot.
Wow.
And then they lived in peace.
To destroy what they call the Communiverse. So in the end, it's not really hard to see the similarities between this movie and Lilo and Stitch. Both feature a protagonist who is a lonely child, who is looking for friendship and ultimately befriends an alien. Both are orphans and both have a major theme involving family. Although in my opinion, Elio was not as strong of a character as Lilo was. Lilo has a lot of charm and appeal to her character, while I personally found Elio to be less likable, and kind of caused his own problems. Like early on in the movie, he tricks a kid
He's basically Steven Universe.
and steals his ham radio, which ultimately results in a fight. That's how he ends up with the eye patch. It also has pretty typical themes for a movie like this. Appreciate what you have, cherish the people around you. Although people are praising the movie for having the opposite theme of the remake of Lilo and Stitch, because that's how much they were upset with the remake's changes to the source material. They're willing to praise Elio for this. Originally, he pretty much writes his aunt off as not really wanting him, and is instead stuck with him just because they're related, but ultimately decides that she is his family. Which is sweet, although I would have liked to see more from the aunt, admittedly. She's just not really in the movie much to make this as impactful as it could have been.
No, it's fine. It does enough of her about it. And that which does the turnaround for her is when she figures out that Elio's stand-in is a clone, and
okay.
Then you see in her room while she took a hair to do analysis on it because she's been suspicious for a while. The whole wall is now filled with weird stuff about is it a clone? Are there changelings? Magical stuff? Like, she's gone full tinfoil hat.
So
she figures that she figured that something is wrong and that there are aliens, mainly because she got the message in the military base comms room of bring us to your leader, please.
So,
and nobody else saw it for some reason.
So it was basically she went possession of the body snatchers when it was really just a friendly email. Say, hey, how's it going?
Yeah. It's a kid's version of that. And that's by the end, the one good joke in the movie is when the clone then, instead of self-destructing, it immediately plays a decoy and then does a little horror scene as a distraction on a military base where he melts and then clings to the other soldiers going, ah! Great. That's the one good joke. And probably pushing the age limit a bit.
Said before, the movie had major rewrites, and they apparently went back to the drawing board and redid a lot of the movie from scratch. And we can see that very plainly in the first trailer they released a few years ago. Elio was supposed to come out originally in 2024, but they decided to make major changes to the plot, resulting in it getting pushed back a year. And ironically, based solely on the first trailer, I actually think the original plot looked better than what we got. Apparently in this version, his parents are both alive, and the female character in the movie was originally his mom, not his aunt. But I guess Disney is Pixar's parent company, so they decided to rewrite it and off the parents. He also does not want to get abducted by aliens in this version, and sends the message accidentally, leading to his eventual abduction, which he's very reluctant to go through. But while he's there, he still plays along with it. We also see what becomes the big bad in the theatrical version. In the official release, he's evil because he wanted to join the Communiverse, but they rejected him, so he decides to attack it instead. But according to the original trailer, he was already a part of the Communiverse, and is instead used as a comic relief character. I don't know, the changes they made just feel very corporate. According to Google, there were a lot of factors in the troubled production of Elio, including the SAG-AFTRA strikes, along with saying they wanted to deepen Elio's character motivation by making him...
Yeah, but that's just an excuse for writers to do enough more work because the people in charge say change it. Oh, we can't change it now, we're on strike. Okay, we'll change it eventually. It's okay. This is no different than... we need another extra 2 years on Veilguard because our director left. It's like, yeah, we don't need a new director. We need a better writer. And they kept changing things.
When you put so much money and work into a thing like this, you kind of hope it would turn into the next Toy Story or Buzz Aldrin. But nope, just poof.
It never, unless the rewrites are by an editor and the editor's chopping stuff out, not adding stuff or rewriting stuff. It's always to get rid of stuff because you have too much of an initial idea by one writer, and then once the writer's done their job, the editor comes by and says, "Whoa, you are good, but this can't be done. It's too big. It's too much money. There's not enough time. We got to cut it up," and that's where you get tighter scripts, not necessarily better scripts, but tighter scripts to fit for what the timeline. And we can look at like writers who've written too much. We can look at J. Michael Straczynski and all his stories that could have used an editor or just a second opinion because some of his stories suck. So it's not like these people don't have experience, but an editor should have been able to say, "Yo, we should stop this before we even started." And go back to the drawing board because it sounds as if this was in like development hell, and oh yeah, there was a strike. It's like that's not the problem, Oh, we got a new director. That's not the issue.
Well, as we remember from the SAG-AFTRA strikes, from their demands and their speeches, like the one from Bryan Cranston, especially, what a letdown. We know that's just a communist organization. So this movie is officially shit because of communism. Amazing.
Want to be aliens, but I don't know if they were as successful as they had hoped. And based off of the opening numbers, it doesn't really look that way. Funny how it seems like there's another witch situation on our hands. Personally, I blame corporate meddling.
Another witch situation or wish?
Wish.
Yeah.
The name.
Wish.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen that?
2 years old, I think it came out.
I heard the thing, and then I heard that it was really bad and everybody hated it. But I don't know anyone who watched it.
And then forgot about it.
I'm just like, when even Mr. Ender's take on it is highly accurate, and the movie did something seriously wrong.
Huh. I gotta remember, what Pixar film did really well in the past 5 years?
Oh. Chat says LiteratureDevil saw it.
Ooh.
Quick, get him!
Had I known that, we would have tried to get him on for this because just on that, but too late.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like was Luca good? I know Toy Story 4 wasn't that popular.
Luca was okay.
Okay.
I think it got flagged for the wrong reasons, and especially because there was the time where still all the SJWs were claiming every kids movie is gay.
Oh jeez.
Yeah. Smud. Remember when we covered what was it? Snuggle Thighs Vloggy's video on the damn movie?
I know we talked about Soul. I think.
I know. I remember Tedros was on for that, and Eric was on for that when we were talking about Luca.
Oh yeah. Whether it was well received, I don't know, but I think. Oh jeez.
Yeah, the movie itself, like Whisp said, the movie itself is fine. It was just everything else surrounding it that was pushing the damn gay narrative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because that was wasn't it Neuralities we covered?
Oh god.
I think at one point you guys might have covered Neuralities, but I remember another cast where it was me, Smut, Eric, and Tedros doing a video from another person talking about the movie.
Well, they did do a sequel of Inside Out, and that I think came out last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember. And that did very well.
And that one also had like last minute changes because of initial backlash, and it ended up being just a little bit better because of the changes. For once.
Well, that was if you know what they wanted to do with it. Holy carpet fire!
Yeah, well, wasn't it make Riley homosexual?
Among other things.
Yeah, I'm glad, and they at least had a little modicum of common sense to take it all out.
Okay.
Yeah, it was still not great.
So they're still making money. They're getting some feedback from their hundreds of $1 million productions that get a few $100 million back, I assume.
And which was just hot garbage.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember all the bad ones though. Like I think Aladdin, the live action thing, that was way before 5 years ago though.
Oh, I almost wanted to ask. They made one, and then I remembered. Yeah, that was the one where they had Will Smith play Genie.
Oh, what was the
and
one?
I
with
never
Toy
want
Story?
to see that.
It was the one with Buzz Lightyear. What the hell was that called?
What Lightyear?
Oh, it was called Lightyear?
It was literally called Lightyear.
I don't remember. Yeah, it's been a while.
Which like they tried to push the whole thing of like supposedly this is the Buzz Lightyear that Andy saw as a kid that got him that got him to the point of wanting the toy. But I'm just like everyone rightfully called bullshit on that.
Maybe there's nobody's buying a toy based on that movie.
Yeah.
Issues with Elio too. I thought the visuals were, and I did like a lot of the effects they used, especially in the Communiverse.
Yeah, that looks really good.
But I didn't really appreciate the character designs, particularly on the human characters, although the alien designs in my opinion are underwhelming too. But the human characters in particular look like something out of a Grubhub ad, and I find the styles to be pretty unappealing.
Yeah, the human characters in a lot of the recent stuff is just the usual CalArts-esque, simple-ass designs.
Yeah, it's 3D CalArts.
People are sick of it at this point, and they still can't take the hint.
No, everything must be this. If we just need to do it more, and then eventually people will like it. If we just push it more.
Let's get the...
Like they will like every bad policy if we just make more of the bad policy.
Associating food with the Uncanny Valley is not a good look.
Tombstone
theory and circles are supposed to
look at that. That's terrifying.
represent things
Isn't this
like
an AI ad?
This is Grubhub.
It is CG animated. It's just weird.
It's
I think I had repressed a memory.
It is it is that bad. It's so disgusting. And this is like Uber Eats or something like that, where you order food or whatever it's called. You don't want to turn people off. Like, this is ridiculous.
The one thing I'll give the Grubhub ads of this freaking animation style is the fact that for some fucking reason, the guy that plays Cloak of Cloak and Dagger in Marvel Rivals was in one of these Grubhub ads. Weirdly enough, that's just funny.
Gotta make your money. You gotta do the commercials, I guess.
Well, now he's hit the big time with a big Marvel thing. So hey, something.
I hope so.
I mean, it's a good game.
I don't think it really comes together here.
Whoa.
Or in the Grubhub ads. Also, I haven't been a huge fan of Pixar's art direction lately, where they have a tendency of having hyper-realistic environments, but really cartoony-looking characters.
Yeah, this is dumb.
Something that people have been complaining about.
This looks
yeah,
so...
the good dinosaur was not all that good.
Just remember,
ironically,
what was the Sonic game where it was hyper-realistic, but Sonic is just Sonic and he's running through...
Sonic 06.
Yeah, see, that looks fine because you're going so fast and you...
That at least looks better than a lot of the stuff now.
Yeah, this is too bizarre. This is too... You're putting two things and you're basically not just juxtaposing them, but you're putting them so on top of each other. It's like it's like oil and water. It's like, what are you doing? It doesn't look good.
This is like how I would expect a mod if Toy Story was made today.
If Toy Story had realistic backgrounds, yeah, it'd be like, this is...
Yeah. Because the dinosaur looks like a toy.
Yeah, it's goofy. It does not mix.
Since tour, the characters just end up looking unnatural compared to the environments, like they don't really fit in this world. This isn't an issue for every Pixar movie, but it's something that I have noticed for some of them, and I kind of wish the studio would...
I have an idea. If you made something like that, like you would make the... Don't ever, please don't ever do it, but if you would make a 3D realistic looking in a land before our time, then you would rather want the dinosaurs not look photorealistic, but more akin to the way the costumes looked in God, what did you call it in English? The Jim Henson Dinosaur Show.
Oh.
The dinos.
Yeah. Well, it's the same problem with anything that you're remastering, like in a video game with, let's say, the Final Fantasy remakes, the Secret of Mana remake. Like, it feels off. Like, I don't care if it's in 3D. I don't care if it's, 32-bit graphics or whatever. It's like, no. Just remaster the original, update the color palette, update the shaders and lighting, and that's it. You're good. Don't
possibly add a quality of life here and there.
Oh yeah, obviously for pausing and sound mixing and all that jazz that you need.
Yeah, that should be standard at this point. Just to add that as a side note to your point.
Yeah, so there's a fine line between nostalgia and being able to emulate things, or just like ripping it out and saying, okay, we'll put it on a DOS box or some sort of emulator. Later.
Well, no, yeah, I was talking about you before. I'm talking about it to you before we started. A good example of that was what was it? The remakes of the Crash Bandicoot games on the PS1, the Insane Trilogy, where that one struck a very good balance between the nostalgia and modernization.
Yeah, I mean, even I remember the Secret of Mana remake having voice acting. I was like, why did you didn't have to do that? It doesn't make sense. Because the characters, like the character art, I don't know if you guys remember Secret of Mana. But no one had animated faces. The faces were too small. And in this case, they made them 3D. They blew them up so they're all big on the screen. Their lips aren't moving. And you're like, okay. So there's voice acting, but you see this giant head, and there's like, okay, this is...
Yeah, at least when they did it with when Square did it with the Final Fantasy VII remake, that it was a bit easier there because the realistic art style and the realistic designs for the characters, that was at least the standard at that point for the series as of Final Fantasy 13. So,
but the 4 and 6 remakes with the pixel remaster, not the pixel remaster, the 3D. What was it called?
It was 3 and 4, not 4 and 6. But it's like, but at the very least, it's like with the DS, yeah, it was the DS remakes of 3 and 4. But it's like those at least didn't take themselves too seriously with the stories that they were bringing over from the original. So at least you could kind of let it slide over that. To be fair, so.
Well, if you ever play the remake of Secret of Mana, everything feels a bit off. And
I know that's a whole other case, yeah. But at least with the Final Fantasy one that you mentioned, it's not. With the Final Fantasy ones that you mentioned a moment ago, at least those don't go as far.
Yeah,
I lost the friendship over that remake.
Oh yeah, no, it's
because I dared criticize a remake of the game I love for it being flawed.
It's kind of odd because we talk about classic games that we just want them brought back, and like Suikoden was one that came back this year, and it did age. You could tell this is not as fun as you remember it. Obviously, it's over 20 years old, but I just want it back to emulate properly, and that's pretty much what we got. There was maybe one or two quality of life things, some GUI fixes, but other than that, it was the same. And that's pretty much what it's just made for fans. It's just made for that one demographic from 20, 30 years ago. Not necessarily nostalgia, but just that, because no one has played that game because they can't get it anymore. So that's why we have a remake.
Yeah.
That's it.
I would probably have a million things to say about the Final Fantasy VII remake if I had played it.
Well, I haven't gotten that. I'm waiting for the whole series to be finished so I could download it and play it all the way through, because I know they added...
What do you mean the whole series?
The Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, like the whole, like, how many parts to it? I don't even know anymore.
What? They made more?
When they redid Final Fantasy VII for the past few years, they added stuff and they broke it into chapters. So I don't know what chapter they're at right now because they keep changing things. So I'm like, all right, let me just...
Oh, it's not even the whole game?
No. It's like the first... they haven't even left like the first time they did, they only haven't left Midgar yet. and they already changed, what's going to happen to the next chapter, but they added so much stuff. Like, this is a labor of love, and I understand what they're doing, so I'm just going to wait. The same with waiting for Cyberpunk to get all the DLC. The same thing for, I never actually got all of Witcher 3, but you buy it when it's complete. It's a finished product. It's updated. It's 10 years old, whatever. I'll just get it then and then appreciate it for what it is then, or for now, from then. So I'm not like chasing down another game, like another $60 game or $70 game to get the next chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I find that a little annoying. Same as annoying with Persona when they do a golden version or a res version or whatever, a Fez version. It's you're just milking the customer at that point. And that is pretty much exactly the same game with like DLC on top of it, which should be a $5, $10 DLC, unfortunately. But that's Atlas. Atlas knows what it's doing. Milking the customer. Give me a remake of Super Metroid. Give me a remake of all these classic Super Nintendo games. I'd like that.
Well, they finally did Prime.
I know.
Remaster of Prime. People are really hoping for Prime 2 and 3. I'm just like, I get what the deal is.
It shouldn't take as long as it does.
Honestly. Especially, and if we ever get a remake, just on this point, if we ever get a remake of Super Metroid, I honestly won't mind if they add like some of the more newer stuff from Samus Returns and Dread, because honestly, it's like, it wouldn't hurt the game to add those new mechanics, honestly.
That would be cool. I mean, Dread was its own little special thing, so...
And especially since Super Metroid is Yoshio Sakamoto's baby, so I don't think he would taint it all that much. Yeah. I don't think he would be willing, considering he was the spearhead behind that game in the first place.
Nintendo also fools for not yet having ported Ever Oasis, especially with the Switch 2.
Oh, there's so many classics.
That's why you want to do that
on Dreamcast and things that we never got to play, just because no one owned a Dreamcast because they ran out of consoles and no one could find them.
Yeah, but the Ever Oasis was released in 2017 as one of the last big games for the 3DS.
Oh,
and it's if you have kids, you want them to play that game.
It's kind of reminding me of Dark Cloud 2. That's why I mentioned Dreamcast. So there's.
Then again, a lot of games from the 3DS have been getting more love on a second life on Switch and a bit later Switch 2. So maybe there's hope for it yet.
We'll see. There's so much still from the original era that still hasn't made it.
True.
I'm just happy that Tactics is coming out and they lost the source for it, so I have to do everything from scratch. it's
from a lot of shit from that time where it's like, oh yeah, back then they just deleted everything like fucking morons.
Well, they kept...
just like Hollywood in the early 20th century.
Yeah,
they screened a movie and then they threw it away.
It's funny how they still have the original source of like Suikoden, and Konami just keeps everything, but Nintendo's like, nope, just does it. Anyway.
Because...
Go back to a style that's less that. Overall, Elio certainly isn't bad, but it's just not that great either, which is sad given Pixar's original reputation and track record. It definitely had an uphill climb given its troubled production, and I wish Disney would trust themselves more when it comes to these creative decisions, instead of falling back on what corporate thinks is safe. Because like in Wish's case...
I don't think that's the issue here. I think in this case, it went through the same problems as a dev cycle like from Veilguard. There were too many changes to every department and cuts, and they just had to pump something out. And they had a certain time limit. And if this was supposed to come out last year, then they had to really rush. So rendering times
and already being in the works for years before that.
Yeah. Plus, they had some hits, so they're not losing money that much, but it's still like this should have came out 2 years ago.
This did not work on the way they had hoped, but that's my opinion. What do you guys think? Do you think Elio might manage to turn things around?
Nope.
Do you prefer the original trailers ideas instead of what we got?
I did not know there were original trailers.
I remember the original marketing. It's like, that definitely could have been a lot better if they hadn't changed to the shit we got.
Well, it's kind of funny because we saw E3 demos of games that have changed, and especially with BioWare, with Inquisition, with Anthem, They changed as we got the demos and we got the actual...
Mind you, in video games, it's the most common because that's just par for the course in game development. I mean, hell, that it also happened with Mario 64. The demos were rushed beyond all belief just to show something at E3. So that they had something at E3 while the main team in Japan kept working on the damn game, hammering it out.
Yeah.
That's part of that history.
Same with BioWare's X06 model of Mass Effect when it first had a demo. So yeah, they changed a lot of features, but for the most part, they just cut stuff out. They didn't alter the actual main story or the main gameplay. They just took out all the stuff we got later in the series. So
yeah, then a lot of the X06 stuff get added back into the series by the time Mass Effect 3 came out?
Well, you couldn't play as like Garrus or anything like that, but multiplayer pretty much was the idea anyway. So you got something like that, and you got the interrupts in Mass Effect 2. So, and they made them better, and you fixed all the gunplay. So yeah, these get better. But with Inquisition, there was a whole open world concept. There was timers. There was like you have to go here, you can't go there, or you'll run out of time, and the city gets blown up or whatever. So there's a lot going on. Same with Anthem. Anthem was really redone. It was all pre-rendered crap, and everyone said it was.
Yeah, unless we bring up Resident Evil 4 for the billionth time.
Oh well, that was
that whole like 6 or 7 year hectic development that I went through to the point where it's birthed Devil May Cry in the process.
It was great. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. That it's just but with games again, this whole thing of like changing like mid production, that's common at this point.
Yeah, and it's
good. But for something like this, it's just there is a lot more going on compared to the gaming industry when it comes to changes this massive.
Yeah.
At least in the case of Elio, for example, where it was like a wholly different movie, and the one we got was just not worth the changes.
And imagine the change was purely caused, like if the story with Elio was fine, but I don't know, Elio was this weird-looking Asian kid or whatever, and they had to change the entire look to appeal to a better audience. The same way they might have changed the look of Sonic, which was an iconic look, and they just screwed it up for some stupid reason.
The first movie? That was worth it. Those changes were absolutely worth it. Those changes were absolutely worth it, and we got a better movie out of it.
Yeah, just one.
I still wonder whether that was just a very elaborate marketing scheme.
Well, they based an entire other movie on the rejects from animated films.
Oh yeah, the Chip and Dale thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, maybe that was part of the plan to include Sonic in there. I don't know.
The Chip and Dale thing bombed like mad.
I didn't hear anything like disastrous about it, but not anything great either.
A parody of a bad idea. I don't know if that's a good...
But Kinga, that is exactly what makes it a failure. Chip and Dale should have been huge.
I know.
Yeah, they made this hateful, this spiteful thing out of it.
Anyway, that was a pretty quick video. I seem to agree with what she was saying, for the most part. And nothing exciting about it.
Simply put, yeah, because of those changes in 2024, yeah, the movie fell flat on its face with what we got. Honestly.
All right.
Yeah, decent coverage here.
Let's go to the stream news. What do we got? Let's see.
Why am I scrolling up? I linked the first meme.
Oh, sorry.
I'm an idiot. I linked it. Yeah. All right. Starting with Dr. Chrisman.
No.
July 5th.
What is wrong with
Turning Red sucked. Movie takes place in the early 2000s, and not once do they recognize Sonic Adventure 2 and the cultural impact it had on society. Okay.
It's probably just making fun of the whole Mr. Enter 9/11 thing.
Oh. Maybe.
Because I'm pretty sure, as far as I'm aware, Turning Red is, I think it's specifically 2003.
Oh my god.
I think.
You can buy a beanbag onesie so you can stay seated wherever. That is... Oh
what is wrong with you?
That is not a... Yeah. Oh dear, there's more. We want to do a movie about a vegetable family. Develops Onion Mom. Okay. We have a design. We have to design a new Disney character. I'm on it. The character is a mom.
Extra thick
ink. Har.
Yes.
Har. If Disney Pixar animated... What is up? Every single one of these memes have had large bottom women. What are you doing? What is going on here?
Because that's the with DreamWorks with the eyebrows. This is the Pixar curse.
Really?
This is the Pixar version of the DreamWorks frown.
Hey, I'll take the Pixar curse over the DreamWorks curse.
Oh God.
Of course you would. You're Latino.
All right. Down.
I'm proud of it.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
To have the dog with the and you're like, oh jeez.
It's code Doug with his. I think it's Doug. Yeah, Doug with his cone. The bird and Russell.
Hey. CGI pick with the Jimmy Neutron cartoon?
Possible?
Yeah, that cartoon was okay. It had its weird moments, absolutely, but it was fine.
I don't think it peaked. I think Bluey.
Yeah, it definitely did not peak there.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that. But this show was fine. It was okay. Speaking of,
Yeah.
Oh no.
Old man looking at 12-year-old girl. Mm-hmm.
No, not that.
Jesus.
I believe this is a Bayonetta 1 reference.
Sure.
What?
Why not?
The flyover, you remember the fight with Jean and the convenient censorship?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I wouldn't be surprised.
Buzz Lightyear drink cup. Yep, that was a thing. I don't know which part of this is worse, the position of the straw or the fact that you have to constantly make eye contact while using it.
Yeah, I remember those.
Jeez. It's good. Trending in the United States, all
lives matter.
Matter.
Misspelled to mater, yeah.
All lives matter.
It's a typo.
Netflix is out of control.
A 35,000 replies typo.
Holy hell. A Bug's Life. You'll love the Human Centipede.
No, you won't.
Oh my God.
No.
How do you get that?
Avoid at all costs.
How do you get from there to... I don't know. Netflix is weird. Average A Bug's Life fan, average Ants enjoyer.
I fully agree.
Ants was better? I don't know.
When Ants came out as a kid, I've wondered, why do people like A Bug's Life? This movie, it just blows it out of the water in every aspect.
For me, it's a tie at this point between them.
Yeah.
All right, you have seen so many memes that Mike Wazowski's meme face looks more authentic than the original one. Interesting. Disney movies be like, you get dead parents, and you get dead parents. Everyone gets dead parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as if they like to destroy the family.
Okay, so Shills, a by the numbers movie that just so happens to not be based on pre-existing material. Is this an original movie?
Well, by that definition, yes.
I mean, we could derive every storyline from every plot that ever existed, I guess.
Everything is Gilgamesh.
I can't believe it.
I love
I'm on a
this.
billboard.
I love this. It is entirely within character. Because it's like, I mean, you remember Monsters Inc. that gag, right, Smud?
Okay.
Where it's like always like at every opportunity they block him out.
Even on the DVD.
What do we got
Yes.
here? We got Chell and Mr. Half-Life.
Yeah, I like this likeness.
So we got, what is that in the left?
Yeah, that's Eve and Wally.
That's Eve? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's from Wally.
Yeah, have you not seen Wally?
I knew who Wally was, I don't know who Eve.
You must watch Wally! We'll watch Wally later this week.
Oh, that's nice.
And then
The only simp I respect.
yes.
Nobody, the government. Today is our 700-year anniversary of our 5-year cruise. What?
Yeah.
Tourist arrives in Amsterdam. Tourist, give me the plane.
It's like the fucking auto. It's literally just an homage to HAL 9000.
You went to Amsterdam to get your weed.
Oh.
Yeah.
But now it's legal in Germany, and the smell is everywhere. It's annoying.
Welcome to Toronto like 20 years ago. Where did he learn how to do that? Oh, sorry. Wow. These sentences are horrible. Wow. Where did he learn how to do that? Him. Wow. Where did he learn how to do that? What?
God.
Yep.
Don't you see the rat?
You haven't seen Ratatouille either?
Oh, it's Ratatouille. Okay, I was like, what the fuck?
Okay, yeah. Okay, at least that one you understand.
Yeah, but once you pointed out, it's like, oh, okay. Jeez, that's not... Oh, boy. All right, what we got here? All right, team. We need ideas for the next movie to be released. A bland
read adaptation. A culture war nothing burger. How about an actual
culture war nothing burger?
A culture war nothing burger. How about an actual fun movie that people might want to see? Get out of here.
Culture war movies are nothing burgers. That is they're poison burgers.
Yeah, that's redundant. Right there.
I don't know how much what was it called? K-pop Demon Hunters took to make. I'm assuming it's in the ballpark of a few hundred, 200 million, because you have to do. Well, actually, making music and timing it would be a little bit more difficult, but because there's so much of it,
at least a year or so, yeah.
Yeah, you got to get the right. It's like Gem and the Holograms did a lot of like 40-second style pieces of music, and then they had to like time it with the animation, so that would take some extra effort. But I don't think it would be very expensive. Like it wouldn't take a lot of money. It would just be, does it work with the scene? The scene is what's important. So is the scene like a certain conflict or whatever? So it's probably in the ballpark of 200 to 250 million. I don't know, around there. So I don't know how much money it made back though. Like I don't know how popular it is.
Well, it's only on streaming, so we'll never know.
I know, but that's the thing, because does that make its money back? Is it just because people like it? But because it's on streaming, like with other games and stuff like that, people can love it, fans can love it, or critics can love it, but it doesn't mean it make a lot of money. So maybe in 10 years' time, it'll be a critical hit.
I'm just gonna check Rotten Tomatoes for this one.
Yeah.
Okay, 95 critics, 89 audience for K-pop Demon Hunters.
But that's
okay. That's good.
Pretty much the same as Elio.
It's higher.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's
also the fact that the critics like K-pop Demon Hunters more than Elio.
All right, so
of course they do.
We got Ratatouille, and the rat is controlling the dude's brain, I think.
Ratatouille taken to an extreme. That's what this is.
And then we have the cockroach manipulating the rat, and then we have that crazy what's it called?
It's a bear thingy. We call them bear animal thingies.
Micro bear things.
And then at the very top, an amoeba.
Yeah, micro bear.
And then at the very top of the whole thing, an amoeba. Put the basil in that shit.
All right. Me reading Hitler's Wikipedia page after I went back and passed and ruined his painting to get him rejected from art school, so I don't have to study his overrated and boring paintings in art class. Oh my God. Ha ha ha. I want to go back in time to stop this amazing painter I hate. So I do.
Well, he was very creative in what he wanted to do instead.
Did you guys, I don't know if you guys watched or listened to this guy who was on Joe Rogan, I think, last week, and he talked about how...
Bernie Sanders?
No, that was a week before, I think. It was a guy who wrote a book on World War II and how the German army, or at least the Reich, the people involved, were given drugs, basically meth. And
yeah, that was pervitin. That is widely known.
That is crazy. And it wasn't.
We still have that chocolate. It's called Panzerschokolade.
It wasn't just the military; it was also the citizenry.
Yeah,
it was.
Yes. The stuff was basically you could buy it in a drugstore to put it into your coffee like a sweetener.
Oh my God!
To wake you up more.
For sure. Yeah, you were buzzed.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you hear the stories of his doctor that was just dosing him up every day.
Yeah, I'm getting the vibe that he was actually trying to kill Hitler very slowly.
I thought it was just to keep him going.
That was just too much, man. The man was a mess.
Can you imagine the entire army just buzzed every day?
Yeah, but, well, Smud, you know how long Stalingrad took? That was in the winter. German army did not have winter uniforms. How do you think they kept going?
Okay.
They had barely food. They had no winter uniforms. They didn't have gloves in the winter in Russia.
But they had 15 tablets for every 2 weeks for every military unit. It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and the Russians had their thick coats and gloves and everything. They were cozy.
Yeah, wild. Anyway. When you ask your friend how to finish the homework, what can I do? I am a figment of your imagination. That's great. Here we go again. Gets criticized once, dies? What?
All
right.
I can't read.
What do we got here? Okay. Wowie. How did you get so good at cooking meth, Mr. White? It's basic chemistry, Jesse. And of course, you got the mouse behind the curtain there. More. Oh my God. People really wanted the cut moment from Wish, Starboy being the male love interest in his example. Really? I don't remember Wish. Okay.
Well, you wait. You didn't see Wall-E, but you did see Wish?
No, I don't remember. I don't remember the advertising. I don't remember anything about Wish.
Okay.
I know they pump out these films every year. I just don't remember the stuff that never catches my attention. And because I watch these shows with my family because we got kids, and I'm like, I don't remember this one. And it's all on Disney Plus. We never watched it together. So. Okay, never ask a woman her age, a man his salary, a shill, what original movies they've seen.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Gigabin, how long is this? Giga? It's a video you posted? All right, we'll try it anyway. Oh, unavailable. Content from UMG who has blocked it from display on this website or application. Okay, maybe I have to watch it in the browser. And here we have, what in God's name is this? Is it Secret of Mana? I can't tell what this is.
That style doesn't vibe at all.
Is it Dark Cloud 2? Is it... What is that? Well, I'd like to know. Okay.
I do dig the ponytail.
All right, so here's K-Pop Demon Hunters, only on Netflix, June 20th. Cool. Here is another scene. It kind of reminds me of Arcane a bit, but not as much.
Psychos.
Oh my God! See, that's funny. It's all goofy. They're not taking it seriously. That's what I like.
At least in this, it's on purpose.
Yeah.
If your girl ever looks like that, it's her.
Well, this is the whole idea of having a public and private life, right? So you publicly show off as idols, but you're got all these problems and your little girls behind the scenes. That's fine.
Yes.
And here they're all stuffing their face with fast food.
Yes.
Perfect. It's goofy. It's fun. September 11th, 2001.
Never forget.
Never forgore.
Never forget.
What the hell? Oh, there's more. What do we got here? I don't know. What is that?
That's Ever Oasis. That's Ever Oasis. Okay. Get Ever Oasis. Play Ever Oasis.
Right.
Yeah, I have no excuse.
The game was made by the original Secret of Mana team.
Yes, it's true. Okay, there. Ooh.
I can gush about it for 3 hours.
The best game you've never played, Dark Cloud 2. There you go. Yeah, it's fantastic. Because it was on.
Okay, I'll write it down.
Because it was on. Damn it.
Yeah, I have no excuse to not play it because I'm such an emulator nut.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing with a lot of the Final Fantasy games. I haven't played 2 yet, which was the original J number 2.
Yeah.
And we never got it in the States because it's really hard to find. But there's so many translated ones.
Yeah, we got it on PS1, we got it on GBA, we got it on PSP. But I would recommend the PSP version if you go for it.
Well, even like these are fan projects of translations. Like Seiken Densetsu 3 was translated.
Oh no. With Final Fantasy 2, I just named off official releases.
That was official in the States?
Yeah, we did get Final Fantasy 2 a few releases in the States. Yeah, officially.
I did not know that. I thought it was never translated.
I remember we got Final Fantasy 1 and 2 on the PSP as part of the anniversary, alongside the first Dissidia.
Huh. All right. Why does that look so familiar?
But the GIF, I think, isn't this also Ever Oasis?
The art style looks similar.
What? No. That's the Dark Cloud game.
Okay, Dark Cloud 2. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Which reminds me of a better Grandia.
Oh, Grandia 2? Yeah, well, Grandia 2, 2D.
That was a great game.
Yeah. What do we got here?
So, from the Hollywood Handle, Shrek 2 re-release earned more money on its opening weekend than Turning Red, Luca, and Soul made in their entire theatrical run. So it really is just people not wanting to see Disney movies specifically then. Know your fucking place, trash.
It could be the demographics and disposable income.
It could just be that Shrek 2 was actually a good movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to make excuses. I'm just like trying to.
And that shit isn't
all the possibilities. People.
It can't be all these other things that you list, because then they wouldn't go to Shrek 2 either.
Well, people not going to the movie theater in general, because of streaming.
Well, that's the whole thing with the.
But then why do they go to Shrek 2 anyway?
Yeah.
They already have it at home. Everybody has the Shrek movies.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to the cinema. You to pay silly amounts of money to see it on the big screen. But people do it. If they show Lord of the Rings extended, especially extended, in the cinema, again, people will go.
And for Christmas, yeah, I know. It's the new Sound of Music. People would watch Sound. Well, back in the day, my old neighbors would watch Sound of Music every year. But yeah, some actually do go back to the theaters.
But you just need to make good movies, and people will go to the cinema.
Yeah.
Bad movies, they don't give a shit about going to the cinema, because why bother? It's not worth it.
Anyway, that was a fun little video. We agreed for the most part, and we talked about a completely different topic, but it's tangentially related because it's gaming and same idea: sequels, remakes, adaptations, etc. So it's all connected, I think.
I think you have a super chat.
Oh yeah, it's from the Dark Seraph. Hey Dark, how's it going? Thanks for the 2. Meth is a hell of a drug. If you're loading up your military and your government and the populace with meth, and it's legal. I mean, with Americans it was cocaine, right? In Coca-Cola, until they figured out, wait a second, we can't do this. With Germany, it was meth. That is a hell of a lot dangerous than cocaine. And cocaine's pretty bad. So, yeah. It's an interesting interview by that guy. Plus, the guy started talking about how lots of the military escaped the aftermath of the war to Argentina and South America. Not that he had proof, but that there was a whole avenue for that to happen. And that there was a whole infrastructure for that to occur.
Didn't Millet disclose documents about that whole thing having actually happened?
I don't know. I didn't.
With CIA contacts regularly visiting the man.
Oh, really?
And he died in the 60s?
Shit. Oh my God, I didn't know that. There are rumors. That's what they've got, but there's nothing official. Yeah. Whew.
Almost as if he only played a part in a greater scheme.
And they were drugging everyone up to control them. I don't know. It's possible.
Well, that's just to win the war.
Yeah, well.
The Nazis originally were very, very about bodily purity, so they were against taking any drugs. They really just did it because they needed the extra boost for the war. That's why the Nazis invented decaf. Decaffeinated coffee is a Nazi invention because they wanted to get the poison out of the good tasting stuff.
Oh, So I guess they rejected it when they invented margarine back in the day.
I don't know that. Was that a Nazi invention too?
No, it was a German. It was before the war.
No. Oh, so it was Weimar. So the socialists invented it. Great.
I don't
Fuck
know.
'em.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Anyway.
That margarine is actual poison.
Yeah.
Don't eat seed oil based
Never,
products.
Well,
They clog up your arteries.
It's way worse than seed. It's a whole bunch of other chemicals that don't even make sense. But anyway. Whew.
No, and Occupation Army, no, you didn't get Fanta out of it. What you are drinking is some pseudo-fruit lemonade stuff that is called Fanta, or various flavors. The original Fanta, you don't want to look up what was in those brown bottles. You will think that is not possible to drink. But look it up.
Oh,
Great.
God.
I
Anyway.
repressed most of the memory. It's apple juice and milk stuff.
Anyway.
And some other things.
We're going to go now because it's getting really hot. Today is really hot compared to yesterday. And I don't know what happened. And I just need some water to relax. Hope you guys having a good weekend. It's been a crazy week here in Canada. And I think we need to brace for next week because that's when all the tariffs are coming back to the world. And yeah, we have a fun time. Everyone will have a fun time next week. So play some games, relax, get some water going, get plenty of rest, that sort of deal. And hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Good night.
Good night.